Hey guys, Nathan Brandon Masters. This was a video I did a while ago. It was basically me putting together a cover using art that I had just kind of lying around. You know, uh, before I got into sketchbooks, I would just kind of draw. Like I would get, hey, I'm just gonna draw a character here or there. You know how you get inspired and you don't have anything laying around. And I didn't have sketchbooks, so I would just draw. And at the time, I had a cheap all-in-one printer. They would only go up to 8.5 by. Maybe it did legal, but I think it would only go up to 8.5 by 11, or it went to like maybe 9 by 12. It may have done 9 by 12, but that was as big as it got. So I would get these little sheets of paper, and I would have images, just pictures I would draw. I would draw Victor Locke sometimes. I would draw Zombie Girl, Night Phoenix, Decoy, Night Evil, whoever I was feeling at the time. I just draw a picture, draw a scene, or draw something like that. And or I would start drawing a comic book on paper, and then later on kind of transfer it to the computer. At the time, I only had the scanner that came with the printer. I mean, today I have a more professional printer. It's still an all-in-one, but it has an 11 by 17 scanner, so I can put a whole page on there. But at this time, I would piece these pages together. I would piece this stuff together. So I would have an image here, I would have an image there, and I would kind of go, oh, well, wait a minute, I've got this. I can throw this in here. And this was something I would really do for covers a lot. At the time, I had just finished Epitaph, Bread and Salt. I was hitting conventions. Then, at the time, we had done the movie and everything. So people were really excited about that. And we were going to do this book called Epitaph Jacked. And what that was, it's going to be the same story, but done like a manga. It's going to have this manga format and manga style. It was going to be, little changes to it and everything. The characters were going to look a little bit different. Like if you look at this picture, you see Victor looks a little bit younger here. Zombie Girl is pale instead of green, and you'll notice she has no stitches. Decoy looks exactly the same. But I scrapped this project because I wanted to keep the Epitaph story the same, and there was no need to go back and retread it at least at that time. But we are going to reboot the story and redraw it and re-release it, and that's really for marketing purposes. I have a whole concept of what I want done with the story, but I kept this cover. I added Victor's goatee and Zombie Girl's stitches, and this became the original Victor Locke Demon Hunter cover. And this drawing of Zombie Girl was originally supposed to be Lauren Talbane, and she had long black hair, as she would. But when I got into the computer, I changed it, made it blonde, and gave her her red leather dress, which this is one of the only places you'll see her in a red leather dress. Zombie Girl wears a red leather skirt along with her red bustier and neck guard. The neck guard is really just there to hide the stitching around her neck, and it looks cool. So I gathered these pictures up, knocked out the white background, and I threw them together, and this is how we got this cover. The building in the background is actually scenery from downtown. I believe I showed this in my last video, but this was a picture I took and then just turned it into line art and dropped it in the background. The moon you see back there, I don't know if you can see it past the title, but the moon back there is a moon we use all the time. That came from NASA. If you look for that online, that came from NASA. It's just a picture of the moon. Now, Layla, my art editor and colorist, really did a great job making the building fit in with the art. But I had this cover re-inked, and when she went back in and colored it, it looked really, really nice. She did a phenomenal job. Jesus, the inker, he knocked it out of the park. And what's really interesting about this is these images were done at different times for different reasons. They weren't done to be put on this cover. The only image that was actually made for this cover was the drawing of Victor. And at the time, even that wasn't specifically made for a cover. At this point in time, stuff like this that really made me jump headlong into digital art. I wanted to draw it on computer, and at some point I did draw some things on computer, but I really just kind of drew things on paper and then scanned it into the computer, and then I would do the backgrounds and stuff like that on the computer. And I actually am getting a lot of this re-inked right now. We're going to come back out with Victor Locke Demon Hunter Remastered. It's going to be like a definitive Victor Locke Demon Hunter book. At least that's what I was going to call it originally, but it's just going to be Victor Locke Demon Hunter issue 1. It's going to be like 24 pages. So, it's restarting the series over. I'm going to introduce some characters into the book earlier, and there's going to be a few changes, like Dracula isn't going to pop up in Victor Locke Demon Hunter. He's going to be introduced in the Epitaph Bread and Salt reboot. And even though Victor does come against him sometime, he's really in Decoy's Rogues Gallery. But as far as this cover is going, these images are just on layers. That's all this is. If you know Photoshop layers, it generally works the same in all the programs: Photoshop, Pixelmator, Procreate. I believe Clip Studio Pro does as well. So you pretty much know how layers work. A lot of this stuff was just drawn on white paper, like I said before. Very easy to just knock the background out if you keep all your, lines solid. And you can just position them however you want to position them. At the time, I think I had a pen tablet. I think I had the Huion, the small one, the 420, I think it is. I had that one. And I could just go in and kind of make little changes. I have all my logos made up already. I have PNGs of all my logos. I can just slap them on the book. So that's how we went from this to this. And this was over a matter of time. I mean, I think I originally did this cover back in 2013, somewhere in there, 2013, 14, maybe even further. But yeah, so that's how this cover came about, and it's been the cover we use to this day. I mean, we've had some alternate covers, but we always come back to this one for the first issue. So you guys take it easy. Nathan Brendan Masters, Austin.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die, looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just